Good morning, my friends. Hello, and welcome to yet another Midweek with Meaning episode. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching live, could you please put a little comment in, give me some emojis, or say hello? It's always nice to know who's watching and where you're watching from. And if you watch replay, please put replay in the comments. So, my name is Angela Ward. I've been offering Midweek with Meaning for over a year now, every week, bringing just some insight and ideas around different topics that are coming up for me and coming up for my clients and for you, dear watchers. So, whoever is sharing concerns or ideas that you have. So, thank you for joining me. And today we're going to talk about resilience. This is a topic I love to discuss, and so let's dive in. So this is a really trendy word these days, I believe. I'm hearing it a lot. And I don't know that everyone quite understands what it means. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what resilience is and how we can strengthen our resilience. So first of all, resilience is our birthright. It is something that all of us have the capacity for. It is by our nature, the way that we are. As I worked as a labor and delivery nurse for many years, I was constantly amazed by what kind of challenging birth experiences newborns could go through and then spring back and be really okay. I saw times where I was like, "Ooh, that baby's not going to do well when it's out," and it actually was eating and happy within moments. So, there's some really lovely things that can happen. I think that we fall down and we get up. It's just part of our learning to trust and function in the world. So I just want to make that really clear. Like, resilience is something that you have the capacity for. In fact, you probably have already expressed your resilience in some ways. So have you faced an adversity of any kind in your life? I think about, death, losses, bullying, losing a job. For those of you that maybe experienced child loss or miscarriage, or any number of situations, breakups, divorce, having all kinds of dreams and hopes shattered, right? And it really falls on a spectrum of how we respond to that. But it's still an adversity. It's still a challenge. And there's a bit of a fine line here where when we face adversity, there is a potential to shift into victimhood and victim responses, which a victim orientation does not really help grow our resilience. Now, when I say that, I'm not, this is not coming up from a perspective of victim blaming or shaming. So I'm not saying that you are responsible for whatever trauma or adversity that happened to you. But what I am saying is, coming from a place of poor me, why does everything terrible happen to me, and how shitty is everything, it turns into this spiral that just inhibits our own resilience. It actually can make things much worse for us and make us feel weaker and less capable of functioning or of taking control of our lives and the direction of our lives. So let's just talk about, what does resilience even mean? So it's an old word. It means to leap, originally means to leap or spring back to its original shape. And what it has come to mean is to recover readily from an adversity or from a change in something. So, here, let's give an example. I have some curly hair, and it's resilient, right? See, I pull on a little curl here, it just goes boing. So it tends to spring back to its original shape. And we all can do that. We all have that. So I just want to speak a little bit about my own personal adversities, not because I'm asking for your sympathy and compassion, although thank you, um, but to show you that it's really possible. And my story is not unique, but at the same time, um, it's not a competition, right? It's not a trauma competition or anything like that. I may have shared with some of you before that I had a beautiful daughter named Sophia who was born with a significant congenital heart defect called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And we knew about this before she was born. Big shout out to her daddy, baby monkey daddy, if you're watching. Hi to you. Um, she there was a lot of fear around my pregnancy and around her birth because there was no certainty that she would survive. And it required of me this deep grounding and presence to be with uncertainty. Um, she was born a long time ago, and I had a really incredible birth experience with her, unmedicated, very fast. And my sweet little girl had her first open heart surgery when she was 5 days old. She came home and spent time with us and was scheduled for her second open heart surgery. But unfortunately, in that surgery, she started bleeding from her lung and she came out on ECMO. And then she didn't make it. After 2 weeks on life support, we ended up choosing to let her go because there was just diminishing hope. And it was absolutely tragic for me and for our family, of course. Absolutely tragic, even with the knowing that there was this health crisis that she was facing. It still was devastatingly heartbreaking. And I struggled for a long time after she died. I struggled for a long time. I would say there were times that I felt quite suicidal. There were times that I felt absolutely demoralized and really like nothing good would ever happen to me again. And yet, and yet, somehow I made it through. I made it through with a lot of love and compassion from really amazing people, and also from my own personal sense of resilience that I developed. So after she died, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder as well as complicated grieving. But just because of how it happened, it was really intense and in a hospital setting. And yeah, I was having the full-on symptoms of PTSD and did a lot of work around that to heal. And it's a long ass story, but basically, here I am serving you. And I'm in a position where my post traumatic stress actually turned into post traumatic growth. This is where the resilience piece comes in. And I believe that language of post traumatic stress disorder and post traumatic growth and all that can sound a little clinical and cold, or even extreme in a way, but I absolutely know that all of us have that capacity to tap into a great stress and adversity and grow from it, heal from it, learn from it, and have something to offer to others through that adversity. So I just love this quote, and I don't know who said it. I've heard it attributed to many different people, but the quote is, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a great battle." What that means to me is that everyone is struggling to some degree. Everyone has something that is challenging them, or that they're recovering from, or they're grieving about, or they're worried about. And this is an invitation, if you are one of those people, as you likely are, to know that we can build resilience in for you. We can make your foundation stronger. So one of the things, one of the best pieces of advice I've seen, and I've heard it repeated in the community that talks about resilience, is developing discernment around what is really serving your highest good. What is really serving you? So what I mean by that is there something you are doing that is contributing to your well-being or adding to your distress? Is this helping me or harming me? So, for example, um, I don't often unpack Sophia's story, especially in great detail, although it's gotten much easier to say 17 years later. Um, but it's a real precious treasure for me. And looking at her photos or getting connected to the reality of her is now at a tender place of love and a bittersweet feeling. But there was a time that looking at her photos or getting like really into the things about her would just pummel me and spiral me into this incredible amount of pain that was not serving me at all. It was just an overwhelming sensation, an overwhelming experience. Some of my clients that I've worked with will get into a similar state. Like there is a time and a place to grieve appropriately, to look at some of the trauma that we've experienced and be confused about the why things happen and all that. But there comes this point where it's like this, the serpent feeding on its own tail, where it just is spiraling in pain and suffering and is serving no outcome. In fact, it's actually harming our well-being to be in that place. And sometimes in our path of healing, we have to titrate, where we have to like look more closely and be with that pain, but then we also need to like step away from it and do some things that are nourishing and healing for us. So if you're in this place, I would really invite you to look at what your actions are, and are they helping you, or are they actively harming you, or are they numbing you? Numbing is a how can I say this with great lovingness? Like in a way, numbing is um, a gift, especially closer to the impact of something. But until we're able to feel and metabolize what we're feeling, if we numb constantly, it radiates out into our whole lives, which is why I think people get so depressed, as they like crush down, they squish down their feeling state. So any feeling becomes intolerable and we just become flattened. So I wonder if there is something that you know that you're doing that is harming. And do you know something that helps? So I have a lovely client I was working with the other day who was struggling a bit, and we were in communication during the day of like, okay, it's not worth being overwhelmed about. Let's do one thing at a time. What's one thing you know that helps you feel better? Okay, it's going for a walk, let's say, outside for 10 minutes. Okay, that's all you have to do. Go do that right now. And then check back. And then what's the next thing on your list that helps you build resilience? Is it a little rest? Is it nourishing food? Is it connecting with the community? Is it doing a yoga practice? Is it going to the beach? You know, I'm not sure what it is for you, but this is really important for you to start noticing what helps you feel more resourced, more capable of looking at different parts of your life and achieving the direction you want to go. So remember that post-traumatic growth phase, right? Some other things about resilience that I think is really interesting. One thing that I have learned, um, I guess when my daughter died, I had no idea how many other people have really suffered trauma and loss. Uh, Bless my being a naive younger person. But once I had that experience, people started coming out of the woodwork with stories of their own loss and their own challenges. And what I realized was these people were not callous or numb. What they had done is they made meaning from their experience, and they chose to look at some of the blessings, the gift in the wound, let's say. This can be tricky, but in a way, what it is, it's choosing to make sense of our suffering and allowing it to shape us and help us grow and help us learn more about how we can be supportive for other people when they're in this place. I think people that have undergone adversity learn what to stress out about and what not to stress out about. They say in the birth world that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. So there may be times in your life that feel very painful and very difficult, but how we respond to that in that suffering place is to some degree a choice. I wouldn't say completely a choice, but to some degree it's a choice. There are ways to ease our suffering that I think can really, really help as far as being connected and allowing people to care for you in your suffering. But there's also this beautiful capacity we have to then step into our own power and making these things have meaning for us. So the reason I'm talking about resilience this week is because next week I'm offering the Resilient Wellness Workshop. It's backed by popular demand. You've asked for it, so we're going to be doing it again. I've offered it in the past, about a year ago, I believe. People had some really lovely insight from it, so I'd love to have you there. I've been working on my own post-traumatic growth and learning since I offered it last, so I'm hoping that the information is more robust and really juicy. So this is what I want you to do right now. Right now. I want you to pick up your cell phone. I don't ever ask people to do this, but I want you to pick up your cell phone. I want you to open your texting app. And I would like you to type a new message to 44222. And I'd like you to type GGWELL. Okay, it's right here. See down here? There it goes, sliding by. 44222 is the number you're going to text, and GGWELL is what you're going to text there. That will get you enrolled into the Resilient Wellness Workshop. It's free, man. You don't have to work with me long term. This is a free offering to the community because I also like a tune-up. This is kind of a tune-up of how we're going to move into this fall season and get our resilience built in so that we feel stronger, we feel more capable, we feel more connected and resourceful as we move into this later part of the year. And I'm really excited to be teaching this again because there's always so many lovely insights. So please, please come. I'd love to have you there very much. So that is the first thing. But the second thing is, should I keep this going? Do you guys want me to keep it going? I guess I'll keep it going. It's been a little while since I've drawn a card, and I wanted to draw a card today to offer a little bit of support for those of you, for all of us really, that are struggling with adversity and that are looking to build our resilience. Because I think sometimes we forget when we're struggling, we feel very alone. We can feel very isolated. We can feel very much on our own. And I love the idea that there is not only like interpersonal support here out in the world for you, but there's also maybe something in your subconscious mind that wants to support you, or maybe it's out there in the ether. I'm not sure where you want to say that this is coming from, but I love to think that there might be a little bit of support around this resilient piece. So I'm playing with my Sacred Earth Oracle. Thank you, Ellie, for this lovely gift. And the question I want to ask is what lens do we want to add to this idea of resilience? How might we grow more resilient? How might we do so with love? with creativity and the wisdom needed to really check into this resilient place that we carry, that we share as a human family. What else do I want to say about that? What else do I want to ask this card? Okay, I think I got it. It's going to be this one right here. So, ooh, my goodness, what a gorgeous card. Okay, hang on a second. The card we got is called Alchemy. Look at that. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, let me read it to you, loves, and see what it has to say about resilience. So, here we go. Alchemy and resilience. If I can spell it, it would help. Okay, so we're going to start with I never know where to put this. Should I put it here? Should I put it here? Okay, we'll do it like this. Okay, so we're going to start with the insight, which says, rocks are formed and reformed in the crust and upper mantle of our planet. When melted rock in the form of magma or lava cools, it becomes igneous rock. Does anybody know how to say that? I think I said it wrong. Over time, igneous rock erodes and reforms as sedimentary or secondary rock. Heat and pressure deep within the earth transform both these types of rock into metamorphic rock. Even the most steadfast, the most long-standing objects formed in our planet's infancy could be transformed. Do not accept anything as a given. Oh, that seems really, really fitting for resilience. Yes. Transform any tenacious, hindering habits, doubts, or beliefs by working on them deep within your center. Yes, yes. The alchemical fire at your core is a constant. Use it to transform any rubble that may be hindering you into precious gems. This card is perfect, by the way, because for those of you that have been in what's the name of my group? Spark Vitality Collective. You know that I believe we are all perfect jewels that have gotten dusty and whatever over time, and we use the image of a perfect jewel, a gemstone, to heal ourselves. So, this feels totally right online. Anyway, the alchemical fire at your core is a constant. Use it to transform any rubble that may be hindering you into precious gems. Turn lead into gold. Let your true self surface. Refine, polish, and respect its beauty, strength, and value. There's more I want to read here, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Your adversity, your challenges, your trauma, your grief, your pain, your suffering, all of this is the lead that you can transform into gold that can help you become more true to yourself and more loving and compassionate in this world. Okay, going to continue here. The earthly meaning: it is up to you to acknowledge an obstacle as an impediment. Regardless of who is to blame, it is your responsibility to defy a false limitation. A quirk or idiosyncratic. Let me try that again. A quirk or idiosyncrasy is a strength. Bring it out and own it. Ooh, I like that. Individuality is a precious gem. Throw your woes into the melting pot and craft them into powerful tools. Experiment with what you have and give it value. The spiritual meaning: life is perpetual movement, and yet life is also still. Life is change, and yet it is also unchanging. You are part of this moving stillness, changing and unchanging through time and eternity. Something is moving within, a still part of you, and yet something is still within the moving part of you. Meditate on this. Feel complete oneness in your being. I love this. I feel like this card is really perfect for today. Yeah, I think that's the work that we do. That's the work that I do, and that's the work that we do, is this alchemical process of turning our lead into gold, of transforming our pain into our triumphs, into medicine for one another. So make sure you text if you missed that number. It's going by right there. Join me next week, please, for the Resilient Wellness Workshop. It's going to be starting Monday morning from 8 to 8:30. Hopefully nice short little blurbs like this one. And the replays will be available every day. There will be some home play assignments, and the more you complete them, the more likely you will be able to win a prize, because I like to ethically bribe people. So please come. Please invite your friends. Let's get a little tune up for the fall. All right, my loves, thank you for joining me, and I will see you back here next week or Monday if you join the Resilient Wellness Workshop. Okay,